Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I'm going to discuss with you all a very important question based upon Mohsin Hamid's debut novel Moth Smoke. It relates with the character sketch of Darashikoh Shezad, who is often referred as to be Daru in the novel. Daru is not merely a character in this novel, he is a very carefully crafted, very carefully constructed symbol of a generation that is caught in a quagmire, in an inferno of a rapidly changing Pakistan at the turn of 20th century. As you know very well, the novel was published in the year 2000. He is kind of an anti-hero whose tragic descent from being a struggling banker to a drug-dealing criminal serves as to be a powerful critique of class clash, globalization, and an elusive quest for identity assertion, identity formation in a post-colonial scenario. And post-colonial, when you read as a theory, post-colonialism without a hyphen, it means extension of colonial era, which is very much a reality of ex-colonized lands, such like third world countries like Pakistan. A critic Paul J. notes that the novel's structure, which juxtaposes Daru's first person narrative with the testimonies of others, is actually calibrated to call into question the truthfulness of all the characters. If you go through the text of the novel, you get to know that the main characters, Daru, Ozi, and Mumtaz, they've been given the space to speak by themselves in the first person narrative. And this thing, according to Paul J., brings into question the truthfulness of all the characters. And this is the very hallmark of postmodernism, in which things are very topsy turvy, nothing is clear. This breakdown of narrative, this breakdown of communication is the hallmark of postmodernist literature. First of all, the novel can be read as a historical allegory whereby Hamid deliberately roots Daru into the rich soil of South Asian history by naming him after the Mughal prince Darashikoh. This is not a casual case, but a choice uh, for a foundational element of his character. As Paul G explains, Hamid invokes the 17th century struggle between two brothers, Darashikoh and Aurangzeb, for iqtidar, for rule, for government, for power. While on the one hand, through history, Darashikoh was kind of a secular intellectual heir, while his brother Aurangzeb, he was uh, a hardliner in terms of his religion. And it kind of creates a quasi-allegorical structure for the novel. This allows Mohsin Hamid to bypass the colonial experience and frame contemporary issues within a longer pre-colonial history. You know, colonialism occurred after Mughal era, after fall of Mughal dynasty. And hereby, Mohsin Hamid is actually trying to bypass the circuit. That is what is actually pointed out by Paul J. Then the mimic man who is trapped in neo-colonial desire. On a more immediate level, Daru is a victim of what scholars term neo-colonialism. Dr. Fariha Chaudhry and Dr. Zia Ahmed analyze him in their research paper, which is available on Google Scholar. They analyze him through Homi ke Bhabha's concept of mimicry, arguing that Daru is a character whose identity is overwhelmingly tainted. Homi ke Bhabha is a theorist in the canon of post-colonialism, postmodernism, and he put forth the concept of mimicry, in which those at the lower strata of the society are always, you know, tempted. They are always lured by the upper, by those who are in the upper strata, upper socio-economic strata of the society, and they try to continue to imitate and immaculate them. You know, he is mesmerized, who? Daru, by the elite world of Lahore's jet set, a world populated by friends with foreign MBAs, sushi at parties, and talk of multinational deals, yet he can never truly belong because he lacks the financial backing. His desire to be almost the same but not quite is the source of his deepest anxiety. His nostalgia for his youth with Ozzy, remembering their feet, sweating sockless in battered boat shoes, and stickers of universities I would never attend perfectly capture his painful awareness of his own exclusion from a world he desperately wants to join. Number three, the symbolic significance, the moth and the flame, the architecture of desire. The novel's title provides the most potent metaphor for Daru's psychology. He is moth. While Daru, on the one hand, symbolizes the have-nots, those at the lower strata in the Pakistani society at the turn of 20th century, the symbol of moth is associated with the character of Daru in this novel. He is helplessly drawn towards the flame of desire, even when it guarantees his destruction. Suraya Malik and her co-authors, this article is also available, research article is also available on Google Scholar. You can see that Daru's desires are not his own but are simulated by a world of signifiers such as luxury cars, air conditioners, and branded lifeways. If you go through the text, you get to know about Professor Julius Superb, who divides Pakistani society into two clear watertight compartments or dichotomies: those who have got air conditioner facility and those who lack it. His love for Mumtaz is the most powerful of these flames. She represents not just passion, but the ultimate prize of Uzi's world. The beautiful, intelligent woman, the perfect possession that Daru can never have. This affair is an act of rebellion and a desperate attempt to claim a piece of that life. But like the moth, his attraction to her light is a suicidal impulse. And that is exactly what happens towards the end of this novella, whereby it is suggested that once Ozzy gets to know about the secret affair between his best friend, meaning by Daru, and his beloved wife, Mumtaz, he tries to trap him through the corrupt judicial system of Pakistan. That is how the corruption of judiciary is also exposed. Because he clearly makes a remark by the time Mumtaz is leaving her husband. Ozzy looks into her eyes and makes a remark that he will take care of Daru, that he may not be able to come out of prison in near future. Number four, the geography of the class, the air conditioned and the uncooled, as I already talked about. Daru's identity is fundamentally shaped by his position in Lahore's new class structure, a deviation most famously articulated by his former professor, Dr. Julius Superb. Dr. Julius Superb, is of uh, high opinion about Daru, and he calibrates him as a high intellectual that had he not uh, uh, been from a lower class, he would have done his PhD. He divides Pakistani society into two classes based on access to air conditioning and an artificially cooled world that allows the elite to recreate the living standards of the West. Daru's tragedy is that he has tasted this air conditioned life but cannot afford to stay in it. That is where the problem lies. He has tasted the life of an elitist, but in order to stay over there, he has to be corrupt like others. As Ozzy, in one of his outlets in this novel, vents out that why he is a money launderer. Why shouldn't he be a money launderer in a society where you have only two choices, either to take up a gun or to be robbed off? So he says that he was wise enough, he was shrewd enough to take up the gun and be one of the looters instead of being one of the looted. After losing his job, his fall is measured by the loss of his servant Manucci, and the day his electricity is cut off. He is cut out of the privileged bubble and into the sweltering, punishing heat of the masses. His subsequent spiral into crime is a direct consequence of being locked out of the kitchen. This is phrase that is uttered by Ozzy. As Ozzy puts it, in an economy where the gap between the rich and the poor has become an unbridgeable chasm. Number five. the language of a broken self. Daru's fractured psyche is also reflected in his use of language. Amara Zulfikar, once again, this article is available on Google Scholar, argues that Daru's speech patterns reveal his identity conflict and alienation. His code switching between English and Urdu is not just a habit, but a marker of his divided self. English for Daru symbolizes access to the elite and represents his aspirations for sophistication, yet it also heightens his awareness of his insignificant status. The more he unravels, the more his language reflects his desperation. He is trapped between two words, and his tongue becomes the battleground where this conflict plays out. Next, the unreliable narrator, the man you love to judge. Ultimately, Dar is compelling because he resists easy judgment. He is one of the most engagingly disrespectful anti-heroes in recent fiction. He is intelligent but self-destructive, passionate but selfish, and a victim of both a corrupt system and his own terrible choices. He can articulate his own failings with painful clarity, yet he remains trapped by his desires. The figurative language used to describe him, such as the prosecutor's damning simile that he killed as a serpent kills that which it doesn't intend to eat, ironically contrasts with our growing understanding of his inner torment. He is the moth smoke, the residue of a life consumed by its own destructive passion, the lingering questioning mark in the haze of a city.